We decide to just get into the squat. What is the squat? That all of us, all the trainers preach. We squat and then we try to push ourselves up, but we don't have the strength because gravity back down. So gravity sends us back down. We push ourselves back up again and we drop. What are we doing? We're all doing this in the gym every single day. And then eventually we have the strength to push up and we stand. So what happens once we've beaten gravity? We now have to control ourselves because now we're being thrown around because we're not used to being bipedal. We've been on all fours. So we stand up and now there's a lot of proprioception that's happening. There's me trying to figure out when I take one step and when I bring this leg to the next, I'm actually on one foot. So my body is trying to figure all of this out. And then what happens? We get used to walking. It becomes a natural process. We're not thinking left, right, like when we're kids. We've learned how to move. We play sport. We jump. We tackle. Who's not played sport as a child? Anyone in the audience? Who's not kicked a football, not played cricket? Everyone at some point has played sport. Now what we do in this sport is eventually we learn and we understand how to use gravity to push and to pull and to create force. Right? So we're doing that throughout. But what happens post-school? Post-school we enter a period into where, we're getting a little busy with college, we've got assignments, we've got projects, and what happens? What's the first thing that goes out? The sport, right? We've got the projects that go on, and what happens immediately after college? We get to work. So now we're grown up, right? We're no longer kids that run around, play football. No, I'm not playing football, that's for kids. I work now, I'm an adult. And what happens if we spend from the age of 21, or let's just say 22, all the way up to 50, unlearning everything we did as children? I learned how to balance, I learned how to kick a football, I learned how to be awesome on one leg, but now I've not been doing that for 30 years straight. What's the end result? When we're 50, 55, we don't have the strength to go down and come back anymore. Because all we're used to doing is sitting in a chair, sitting in our car, and getting back up. So we don't have the leg strength. We don't have the cardiovascular strength in terms of lung capacity, because we're not running anymore. So we move up a steps, and at the end of the flight of steps, we just drop back down, because we're not used to that. So I'm just going to give you the latest research in terms of mortality, guys. If we have a higher lung capacity, and if we have leg strength, if we keep away from most illnesses, like your cancers, like your diabetes, like any form of life-threatening disease, your chance or your longevity increases just through leg strength and cardiovascular strength. Now you guys are wondering why. Now if I have a solid cardiovascular ability or good lung capacity, every single time I take a deep breath, I get more air in, which means I can filter more oxygen. So my heart doesn't have to work too hard because with every beat it's rich with oxygen. Point number one. Point number two, you guys are wondering what's the deal with leg strength. Now when we're older, because we've not been doing a lot of stuff, we just get immobile in terms of becoming sedentary. So remember guys, every time I'm taking a step and walking, the blood that's gone all the way down to my heels has to come back up. Now this blood comes back up whenever I walk with my muscles contracting, it sends the blood back up. So I've got my heart working efficiently, I've got nice pure blood going straight through, and I also have the leg strength in case I trip. I have the leg strength to stop and slow me down. What happens when you're older? You trip and you fall. There's no chance of you, if you're not trained, to stop the fall. Even if you stop the fall, what happens in the old people? Even if they stop the fall, they don't have the strength to stop the fall, so they end up breaking a knee or a hip, even if they don't collapse, or a hairline fracture. So my point being, and once that happens, it is just a slow death on your way out, because physical therapy, in all due respects, is not where it should be in this country, and we don't have the means or the understanding to get people out of that. Most people who are slightly old, the moment they're injured, that's it. They're bedridden, they can't do much, they're a burden not just for themselves, but also for their loved ones, and eventually at some point the family's like, there's nothing we can do. But we can do stuff from right now. My point to this entire thing is do not neglect leg strength, do not neglect your cardiovascular ability. Don't just rudimentary just follow life and say, okay, I'm 50, I can't do this anymore. I'm 60, I can't do this anymore. I want you guys to really understand. Another quick example. In terms of neurons in your brain, we all understand that post 20 they go through a degenerative phase. But muscle memory, guys, regardless of what age you start, you can adapt. I promise you this. Check the research out. A person who's 20 and not exercise versus a person who's 50 has the same adaptive ability. It's not the same with the brain. If I can learn a language when I'm 8, I'm much better at learning it at 8 when compared to when I'm 60. It's going to be much harder. But in terms of muscle and your ability to learn movement, whether you're 40, you're 60, you're 80, you can do it. It just depends on how efficiently you move. So my take-home message is, please don't use age, don't use that as a restriction. Don't have the mindset that goes, okay, now I'm retired, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to relax. It takes 20 minutes, it takes 15 minutes, 10 minutes, get out of your comfort zone, do stuff, move in areas you're not used to, and I promise you, tomorrow you will be living a life that you should be living. Everyone is curtailed to face the end in a very sad, slow kind of demise. I want you guys to know that you can go out also as rock stars. With what you just said, the difference between a muscle cell and the brain is the muscle has multiple nucleuses or multiple brains, and that's how muscle memory is formed. So that's why when you talk about using movement to build more neurons, the more you move, the more patterns your brain is registering in your head. So the more memories and the more connections that are being made. More synapses to be medically accurate.